I want to share a powerful psychological insight that comes out of this week's Parasha and see its relevance to the whole conflict with Hamas and what we can learn personally and collectively going forward. So often in life, what we complain about is actually not the issue. It's just an excuse. It's just a pretext. It's hiding something much deeper, sometimes more sinister, that we're not even aware of. We see this so clearly in this week's parasha by a word, an unusual word, about the complaints of the Jewish people. We have just left Har Sinai. We've been there for a year. Vayehi bin Saron vayomer Moshe, a year of learning at Har Sinai. And as we leave, it says, Vayehi ha'am mitonenim. It was as if they were complaining. The first thing that happens when we go on the road, on the way to Israel, we're complaining. And this word, mitonenim, is an unusual word. The usual word for complaint in the Torah is tluna. It says in Parashat Bashalach, when we complained about the food and the water when we came out of Mitzrayim a year earlier, it says, Vayilonu ha'am, tlunotahem. Lehitlonen in Hebrew is to complain. Here it says a totally different word, lehitonen, mitonenim. And incredibly, Chazal point out that the word to'ena, we see this from the book of Shoftim, Perek Dalet, means an excuse and a pretext. What they were complaining about is not what was really bothering them. In fact, we don't even know what they were complaining about. It doesn't even say. People died in Taveirah. We don't know what they were complaining about. And even when they complain, again, immediately afterwards, they're complaining about the food. Zacharna tadaga, we remember the food that we ate in Mitzrayim as if it was a 5-star hotel. Chazal say, they complain, Zacharna tadaga sher nochal chinam. We remember the food that we ate for nothing. Chinam, it was given to you for nothing, for free. Chazal say chinam and mitzvot. What was the real motive? They were not complaining about the food. That was the pretext and the excuse. What they were really struggling with is the understanding of the burden that they accepted upon themselves, having left Har Sinai. All these mitzvot and restrictions and prohibitions that they've been hearing for a year. What that meant for a change of lifestyle was something that seemed too much of a burden to bear. We learn that so often what we are complaining about is not the real issue. It's an excuse. It's a pretext for something else very different. That is exactly what we have seen in the most cynical way in the last number of weeks. Yes, has this conflict got anything to do with a Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood? Absolutely not. That's a private dispute which has been going on for years and in times decades between landowners. Has this got to do with the Temple Mount and denying others the opportunity to pray? They're the only people who struggle to pray in the Temple Mount are the Jewish people. You're not legally allowed to pray in the Temple Mount, even those who go up. There's freedom of religion, as we all know, in Jerusalem, like there's never been before. This has got to do with restricting somebody in Jerusalem against the Palestinians? Absolutely not. That is the pretext. What it's really about is the denial, the rejectionism of Hamas and those that they represent of the right of the Jewish people to exist in Israel, the right of the state of Israel to exist. The normalization that is going on around the world is exactly in the face of this rejectionism. And the real reason, the to'ena, the real reason, is to oppose, as we all know, as it says in the Palestinian Hamas Charter, the very existence of the state of Israel, and to use every means of international terror to be able to do that while hiding behind a pretext. We hope and pray that all fair-minded people around the world should be able to see the pretext, to see the truth of this matter, and be able to operate from a place of truth and not from a place of perversion. And also every one of us in our own personal lives to be able to see through the complaints and the pretext to the core of the issue, because when we see the issues with clarity, we can accept them and deal with them accordingly. Shabbat Shalom.